Les Miles has not shown his hand in regards to a starting quarterback choice with Mississippi State coming to town on Saturday night. But if the fans have any say, I think we know that their choice is rather clear. We bring in Billy Gomilla from And the Valley Shook, the SB Nation platform for LSU athletics. Billy, Danny Etling into the ball game after a couple failed possessions from Brandon Harris and company. Don't want to throw it all on him, but failed offensive possessions out of the gate against Jacksonville State. Your thoughts about Danny Etling's performance for the rest of the game?
Well, just in general, he looked just very comfortable and much more in command. It was a lot of little things. You know, obviously at the end of the day, his stat line wasn't very great, and he misfired. He didn't complete a single pass in the second half, which just, you know, calling into question whether this is a long-term deal or not. But just as a general, just observationally, he looked very comfortable. He got the team in and out of the huddle quickly. There were no issues with delay of game or anything like that. In the pocket, he's stepping up. He's getting through his progressions. He just looks like a much more comfortable quarterback. And when he did have a chance to throw, he looked a little more just steady, whereas Brandon was very, very erratic. And, you know, it looks almost like this is maybe a Chuck Knobloch, Yips kind of situation with him, you know, missing just easy throws and very basic throws, whereas, you know, Etling came right out and completed 6 of his first 8 and threw a 46-yard touchdown. So he definitely looks like I guess the best option right now. I think time will tell whether he's quote-unquote the answer for LSU, but he's definitely right now looks like the best option for them.
Younger fans and non-baseball fans look up Chuck Knobloch. So we're talking about an extremely good hitter for the Twins and the Yankees, Gold Glove second baseman who suddenly couldn't throw the ball to first base. Obviously the most, the easiest throw on the baseball diamond. All right, so Etling, of course, was a starter at one point, usually in the mix for the starting position at Purdue, but didn't have anything close to this kind of talent around him, was usually under siege, didn't have the type of dynamic playmakers on the outside. It'll be interesting to see if he's able to kind of bring this all together and be the missing piece in an offense that seems, other than the quarterback position, to have everything in place to be a dynamic, explosive offense.
Well, I do think that there are some other questions for this team. The offensive line hasn't been quite what I think a lot of us expected to be to date. And at wide receiver, you know, Danny Etling did throw an interception, partially because Malachi Dupree didn't really kind of fight for the ball with you know, an FCS level cornerback. And that's not what LSU wants to see, and that's not what anybody else wants to see from him. He definitely has to improve in that area, and it wouldn't surprise me if they maybe work in some of the other wide receivers and give them some opportunity this week against Mississippi State. But by and large, yeah, it's I think a better situation for Etling. He's older too. You know, he's a fourth-year junior. You know, a lot of people have made the comparison to when Brandon Harris was a freshman. He came in substitution for Anthony Jennings against New Mexico State in 2014 and did a great job. And a lot of people, you know, thought that was kind of the start of something. He gets to start against Auburn on the road the next week and, you know, really kind of throws up on himself and just really struggles. Here, Etling is not a true freshman. This will not be his first start, and it will be at home at Tiger Stadium. You know, so I think that's going to help a lot. Talking to folks at Purdue, they seemed, you know, to kind of not necessarily think a lot of Etling, but understand that there were a lot of issues in play with his struggles, and not necessarily just say, "Oh, he's not any good."
Yeah, they were typically overmatched in the Big Ten. They're the worst team in the Big Ten and have been for the last 4 or 5 years. When you look at Leonard Fournette, it speaks to his talent volumes when he's a bit nicked up. And even against Wisconsin, traditionally one of the better rush defenses in college football, gains $138 on the Badgers with no support from a passing game, sits out against Jacksonville State. Do you expect him? I know it's difficult to read into the health of players because we don't get the type of reports we do at the NFL level, but do you expect Fournette to be ready to go against the Bulldogs?
Yeah, I would expect him to go. You know, against Wisconsin, as good as he still looked at times, there were just a lot of times where tackles that I think he would have run through the year before. You know, guys just got him down. I remember thinking, I don't think he's 100%. And then, of course, at the end of that game, he did ding his ankle again. So I think holding that against an FCS team like Jacksonville State was a smart move. And I expect him to be ready to go this week. And hopefully, that alone should just be a big emotional lift for this team, I think.
So Mississippi State comes in. They've got their own issues at quarterback. They've got Damian Williams in play, who has started the first 2 games of the season. They really took it to South Carolina last week, so they kind of made amends for the South Alabama debacle in losing in Starkville 21-20. Appear to be a mid-level SEC team, certainly better than about 4 teams in the East, and we'll see how they match up against the likes of Auburn. But LSU should win this game, but still you're going to have to perform, obviously, on Saturday night against a talented Mississippi State team, talented in spots.
Long streak of success against Mississippi State. They did finally break it a few years ago with Dak Prescott in 2014, the last time they came to Tiger Stadium. But this was a tough game last year. You know, Dan Mullen's got that program, I think, at a level where they're always going to give tough out. Even when LSU's been able to win decent margin, it's been a hard-fought game, and they had to work to get those points. So I would expect this to be a tough game and possibly a losable game, you know, especially if Danny Etling can't. If he looks more like the Danny Etling we saw in the second half of last week versus the Danny Etling we saw in the first half, then this team is still going to struggle to pass the ball, and we'll see whether Leonard Fournette by himself can carry this team to a win again. I expect it to be a tough game, and LSU needs really badly right now.